Which country is the king of the hot hatch? You know, small, fast, family cars that are great fun to drive, but still really, really practical. You might think it's Germany. After all, the first Volkswagen Golf GTI basically invented the hot hatch. Or could it be Japan? The new Honda Civic Type R is one of the best front-wheel drive cars ever. But I reckon these countries could both be overtaken by South Korea, with the help of some new performance cars and a brand new electric car. Now in this video, I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to show you exclusive images of a future South Korean electric car that could have more power than a brand new Porsche 911 Turbo. Yeah, I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching CarWow. Hot hatches have been around since the first Volkswagen Golf GTI. This pocket rocket came out in the late 70s, and it showed you didn't need to buy a flashy Porsche to have fun. But since then, some hot hatches have evolved into full-on sports cars. Take the Mercedes AMG A45S. Now that is based on the ordinary A-Class, but AMG crammed a 2-litre turbocharged engine with 421 horsepower under its bonnet. And then it gave it four-wheel drive, so it'll do 0 to 60 miles an hour in less than 4 seconds. It even has a drift mode, for goodness sake. Now this makes ordinary hot hatches like the Mark 8 Golf GTI look a little bit, boring. After all, that car only has 245 horsepower and it doesn't even have four-wheel drive. But don't worry, there is a car maker out there which is putting the fun back into front-wheel drive, and it's Hyundai. It's really pulled out all the stops to make a range of properly exciting cars. The i30N was a great start. The standard car had 250 horsepower, which was already more than the 245 horsepower the Golf GTI had. But you could get a performance version that beefed this up to 275 horsepower. And Hyundai's just updated the i30N to make it even better than before. Now this new model looks cooler. Has 5 more horsepower, big wow no, but a useful 39 Newton meters of extra torque. So now the car makes 280 horsepower and 392 Newton meters as standard. And you can get it with an 8-speed automatic gearbox instead of a 6-speed manual if you prefer. But that's not the only exciting car on the way from Hyundai. It's also made a new i20N. Now this is smaller than the i30, so rather than take on the Golf GTI, it's going against cars like the Polo GTI and the Fiesta ST. It comes with a 1.6 litre turbocharged petrol engine with 204 horsepower, so that's pretty much exactly the same as a Fiesta ST and an Polo GTI. This means it's just as quick as those cars. It'll do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 6.7 seconds, which is the same as the Polo and a smidge slower than the Ford Fiesta. Okay, so those numbers aren't going to set your pants on fire. There are diesel SUVs that are actually quicker than that, but the new i20N is doubling down on the fun factor. For starters, just look at it. I love the blue and red colour scheme, and check out that rear wing. It makes a Polo GTI look like an airport hire car. It also comes with a limited slip differential at the front, as standard, which normally costs extra on some hot hatches, or you can't even get one at all. But my favourite thing about it is the new grin control system. No, that's not grip control. Grin, like, your face, grinning. Basically, this is what Hyundai is calling the i20N's driving modes, including the N Custom mode that lets you tweak all of the settings independently, so you have the car exactly as you want it. It just goes to show that Hyundai genuinely cares about making its cars fun to drive. And it's going to make fast versions of its other cars too, not just small hatchbacks and super minis. Oh no. It's just revealed the Kona N, which is its first performance SUV. I know I said this video was about hot hatches, but most crossovers and SUVs are just jacked up hatchbacks anyway. That's how Volkswagen was able to make the T-Roc R. The T-Roc is basically a Golf underneath, so all the parts from the Golf R bolted right onto it. Anyway, back to Hyundai. The new Kona N comes with a similar 2-litre turbocharged engine as the i30N has, but it has more power thanks to a boost mode. This is called the N Grin Shift mode, and I'm not making this up, and it gives you 290 horsepower to play with. With N Grin Shift turned on and launch control enabled, the Kona N does 0 to 60 miles an hour in around 5.5 seconds. Okay, so that's a bit slower than a T-Roc R, which does 0 to 60 in less than 5 seconds, but there's a very good reason for that. Unlike the four-wheel drive T-Roc R, the Kona N is front-wheel drive only. Yep, it's pretty much the only performance SUV on sale that doesn't come with four-wheel drive. Now you might think this is a bad thing, but not necessarily. You see, while the Kona N probably won't win many drag races, it should be great fun to drive on a twisty road or on a track, especially because it also comes with a limited slip differential as standard, just like the i20N and the i30N. This is what I find so exciting about Hyundai's approach to performance cars. It knows that today's hyperhatches with 400 horsepower are getting out of hand. They're just too quick for most roads. So it's decided to focus on making its cars fun to drive instead, which is something that a few car makers seem to have forgotten about. But what about the future? You know, where we're supposed to be having self-driving electric cars. How is Hyundai going to build a fun family car then? Well, it could happen with a bit of help from Hyundai's sister company, Kia. So Hyundai and Kia are part of the same group, a bit like Volkswagen and Audi. So their cars share loads of parts. Now, Kia isn't planning on building a load of fast hot hatches like Hyundai is, but it has been busy making a new high-performance electric car. It's actually the new Kia EV6 GT. So this is a mega quick version of the standard EV6 that comes with 2 electric motors, making a bonkers 585 horsepower. Yeah, that's right. Kia has actually made a car with more power than you get in a brand new Porsche 911 Turbo. And this means it's seriously quick. The new EV6 GT will do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 3.5 seconds. That's only a few tenths slower than a Tesla Model 3 performance. If you want to see just how quick a Tesla Model 3 performance is, click on the pop-out banner up there to watch me drag race one against an Audi RS6. Anyhow, knowing Kia, the EV6 GT will probably still be quite a sensible car. And this is where Hyundai could step in. It's also just built a new electric car which is based on the same chassis as the Kia EV6. It's called the Ioniq 5 and yeah, it looks absolutely brilliant. In fact, it looks really futuristic, but in a cool retro-y way, so it's completely different to every other Hyundai on sale. At the moment, the quickest Ioniq 5 gets a 306 horsepower dual motor setup and it'll do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 5.2 seconds. That's already a few tenths quicker than a Honda Civic Type R. But you know what would be even better? An N version of this particular car. It could even look something like this. Now Hyundai could lower the car, give it some new alloy wheels, add a body kit and paint the whole thing blue and red. And under that bodywork, it could fit the same 585 horsepower electric motors you get in that Kia EV6 GT. So it'll do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Okay, so all this will probably make the Ioniq 5N even more expensive than the Kia EV6 GT, and that car already costs £59,000. But if Hyundai's engineers make it as fun to drive as their other N cars, then it could be one of the best performance EVs on sale. But what do you think? Do you love the idea of an Ioniq 5N, or do you think a sporty electric crossover is just a terrible idea?